So today we have some one of the most advanced like noodle machine that we have. It's called like Richmond Gold machine, and this machine well automates some of the like operation manual operation process like we had like in the previous models. So it's great. So again, we need to have like, so we need to apply heat, right? We need to have like certain temperature for gelatinization to happen. So we need to prepare water. That's almost like to the boiling point, like almost like 100 degrees Celsius, because when we added like flour, rice flour, and the other like gluten-free ingredients, the temperature like drops, right? So for gelatinization to happen, like I think that's going to be like temperature is around like 80 degrees Celsius. So we need to have the water like close to like kind of boiling temperature. And so she the rice flour in this mixer, like this is a 10 kilogram mixer, so you can mix up to like 10 kilograms of solid ingredients. And so it starts like mixing it, and just with the solid ingredients, and and I forgot the other ingredient like she put in there like as well, like so she added bit of oil, bit of vegetable oil in it to like prevent the sticking of the dough as much as possible. So you just so like what we're using is like for the liquid ingredients are just so the water, hot water, and oil. So the other point that I have to like kind of say is that like we need to directly pour the hot water into the mixer, and this is sort of unconventional way of making noodles on the noodle machine, because we always pour the water like onto mixer lid, which has these like small holes um, that allow the liquid to seep through the drip through little by little, so that we're rendering the kind of hydration of dough, hydration of flour, gradual hydration of flour, little by little, like by adding the liquid um, little by little through these holes. But like in this case, like we are making gluten-free noodles. Gluten-free noodles, we added like all of the liquid ingredients at once, right, at a time, and yeah, so it's very unconventional, like unusual way for us to be doing, I mean, making the dough this way. But by adding the hot water, like the hot liquid to the flour all at once, and we can increase the temperature of the flour, right? Temperature of flour, and that allows it to have like this gelatinization phenomenon. So with that's important. And 'cause if we just like add the liquid little by little, then the temperature of water, temperature of liquid, like drops, right, to the point where, to the point that's not hot enough, that's not warm enough for a gelatinization to occur. So we need to add that liquid all of it at once, and then we start the agitation. Like, we should start like mixing to kind of, well, mix the flour, and then kind of spreading it, and then getting each particles of flour to have like equal amount of the hot liquid to to have this gelatinization equally. So um, yeah, that's the method. And then it's very unconventional for us to be doing this. And so the mixing time is 10 minutes from the time when we added the hot liquid to the flour. And I want to talk about like just, when thinking about offering gluten-free noodles or like options for as a business, right? For those like potential customers, how gluten-free prepared, we have to be, right? And whether or not like we kind of viable for a business to go as far as like certain markets demands. For example, like if you're serving gluten-free options and at the same time like you're serving like ramen noodles, that are like just gluten noodles. So if you're serving both of them, both options, you'd maybe like, so for certain cases like you'd have to like very separate, like completely separate equipment, right? And then even the rooms where you make noodles, right? And so that's, and then we have to think about like how many people, right? How many people are we talking about? How many people are we talking about? Like, um, who to be affected by that like with that decision, like, kind of like mixing up, like, kind of same, for example, like noodle cooker, right? Like if you cook the gluten noodles and gluten-free noodles on the same noodle cooker, then of course, like, even if you use something like gluten-free noodles, the gluten-free noodles themselves like may have some gluten on them, right? And so it's and are we talking about like 5 people out of like 100 people who may be affected by this decision, like, who maybe like have like kind of severe celiac disease condition, or like, so that's something like we have to think about, right? And so you have to have, of course, like in that case, like, another noodle cooker that's dedicated for cooking the gluten-free noodles, and another one that's dedicated to cook for cooking the gluten noodles, right? And same thing like we can say about like noodle machine equipment, like other types of equipment. And you probably have to like kind of, if you're making noodle like your own noodles, you probably have to like have a separate room where you make gluten-free noodles, and another room for production of gluten noodles. So that's a lot of cost actually to, well, I'm not sure like how many customers you're talking about, right? If that's like three customers out of 100, then you're making that investment for those 3 customers, right? So that's a lot of cost, like for that, for those 3 customers. So it's, you have to think about like would it be like viable for us to be like investing this much money to, well, serve these 3 customers, or like, or you could just have like certain like labels on your package, or like some kind of notification, like signs, displays that are, well, you know um, clear enough for your customers to be able to know that, understand that your products, your like your noodles or may not contain the gluten um, ingredients because because you guys are using equipment, the same equipment to make all gluten-free and the gluten noodles. So that you definitely have to have those signs, and you definitely have to have like tell customers that the fact that like, you're using the same equipment, um, but I think rather than well investing like a lot of money, like a lot of yeah, investing a lot like not just the money, right? Like but like your resources, like labor maybe. You have to or you have to have like certain like or SOP kind of setup, like for this operation of like kind of complete separation of or you or that you or maybe like it may be viable for you to well do business as like kind of gluten-free specialty shop. That may be more viable than well like operating a shop that serves both options, right? Because you may be unique, right? You may be standing out among other restaurants, who offer both options. Because customers can know that. Well, of course, like including those customers like for well with the if we have like kind of serious condition like a serious disease, um, they can know that like oh you're specialized, right? So you only serve gluten-free noodles, gluten-free food. Then that would give those customers like peace of mind, and then you know you yourself would be like yeah, I mean maybe like great business for you. So either options like you know we need to think about how you're gonna be able to do this, right? So like because of course like for those people like with a serious condition like serious disease, it's like it can be a issue of life and death, right? So um, we shouldn't we shouldn't like we shouldn't go kind of like not too far, but like just far enough for these people to understand what you're serving, and yeah, so that's why wanted to talk about this. Um, yeah, and then because we get a lot of questions like from our customers like, so can we clean the machine like completely so that to the point where you can use this machine, the same equipment, to make gluten-free noodles for well, gluten-free noodles, right? And then to the point where it's like the gluten-free noodles like we don't have any gluten ingredients on them, right? So that's actually almost impossible. Like, it's very difficult to do. So I think the choice would be for you to have like clear display for the customers to understand that you are using the same equipment to make gluten-free and gluten products, or you can specialize in serving gluten-free noodles. So after 10 minutes, right? Um, that's how the dough is, and this was actually 60% hydration, the liquid. So if it's not gluten-free noodle, like if you're doing this like kind of wheat flour product, then the size of dough be like huge. I mean, it's almost like just one chunk of a dough, but like it's rice flour, and of course like we use a bit of like oil too, um, so that the dough size is like pretty small. It's almost like powdery, right? So in a sense, through mixing, we are so like gelatinized the dough, and so it's ready to be made into noodles. But because the temperature, right, we talked about, it should be quick to make this dough into noodles. So from this point, like we are doing like kind of same kind of production process as we do in production like ramen noodles and like regular gluten-based noodles. But so basically, what we're doing right now is like feeding this dough right into a set of rollers to make a sheet of dough, and so this machine has like kind of digital display, and you see the speed of it, speed like how fast the dough is like going into the rollers, and in old models like we'd have like kind of manually feed the dough to the rollers, but like this Richmond Gold machine, you don't have to do it, like just does it automatically. And how it does is that like it has a sensor while looking at the entrance of the feeding area, what the dough is going in, and it's looking at like how much dough is going in, and if the dough is less than our setting, then the conveyor like moves forward to feed more dough into the rollers. So that's how it works. And then and there's a sensor like kind of running like horizontally, and then because of safety reason, right? Like when you put your hand in there, like the sensor detects your hand like any object, and then like just automatically stops. So there's no possibility for your hands to be like sheeted or like get your hand caught in there and like get injured. So it's one of the most advanced safety features of like commercial noodle making machines. Okay, so we got kind of rough, some like sheet of dough, right? And that the dough is like still fragile. So we need to, we want to kind of make it firm. And then how can we like make it stronger, right? And actually, this is the same process that we do like when we make gluten-based noodles, like for example, like ramen noodles, and this process like we call like combining process. So we are separating the dough sheet into two rolls of sheet, right? And then we're gonna put them together through the rollers. So we call like kind of compounding these two separate sheets into one. So we are adjusting a roller gap right between the roll, like between these two rollers, and so the roller gap can be like easily adjusted, like depending on the thickness of dough and what kind of noodle we are making. So after we so feeding the dough into the rollers, you don't have to touch it. It just does it automatically. And during this process, we want to go slow. So we set the rolling speed to slow speed on purpose. So that was the compounding process. So you can see, well, it's sticky because it's of course like rice noodle, like and it's kind of going through the gelatinization, and so the it's going through like first compounding process, and then we want to usually like do it twice, just to make sure that the texture, the dough is firm enough. So that was second compounding process, and so we're going to, and as you can see, this is an automatic duster, and then, well, it's automatically dust the dough because it's, we want to start like preventing the dough from sticking. together. We don't have to, from this point on, we don't have to like kind of stick them together, but like we want to prevent it from sticking. So we did a first round of sheeting after the second combining process, and we're going for cutting the dough into little strands. And this is the kind of cutter we use. This is a sliotar cutter, and so each groove is well about like I guess 1.7 like over 7-ish millimeter, and so that determines the width of the noodle, and thickness is determined by the roller gap. So let's go for cutting. So we made gluten-free noodles, and or you can make like different sizes and like the thickness and width. Like you can make them like different thickness and width, and yeah. So the feature like we kind of show like was like we could well adjust the serving size by changing the length of noodles, and it's very easy like just touch the knob, and then you can make it shorter for bigger serving. I mean, not like the small serving, and you can make it longer for bigger serving. It's very easy to do. And the color, right? The color of the noodles was like kind of like white, and then they are they're just white, right? But like when we cook them, actually, they get gelatinized again, and then the color becomes like kind of translucent. Um, so that this state, like being noodles, fresh noodles, they are not. Well, they went back to the expert called this state like retrogradation. Um, yeah, it's kind of it's kind of hard to explain, but like because the temperature like is actually lower than like comes lower than the now like lower than the or gelatinization state. So it goes into the state of like retrogradation um, by kind of like changing the the hydrogen bonds between the amylopectin, and so it's but like when we increase the temperature, when we heat them up by cooking them, um, we can bring the noodles back to gelatinization. So the color becomes translucent. So we want to cook them to show you guys how they how different they turn. So cooking time is just 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I have to say that as far as like storage goes, these fresh gluten noodles, we have to freeze them. We have to put them in the freezer. Otherwise, these fresh gluten-free noodles like go bad like fast. So we need to put them in the freezer. Because as you can like they become like a bit translucent, right? And then like if you put them in a soup or like in a sauce, um, they become more translucent. And then these noodles are like it's bad, like so bad that like you guys can like bite into them, but like it has this like really chewy texture to it. So it's they're actually pretty good. And like we have to like try them to see like the the noodle texture and yeah. So then they go very well with like all these yeah. We've tried like some like Chinese sauce and Chinese style sauce and was just very good and like goes with like very good texture and it's they were pretty amazing. Um, yeah, so yeah, you please try farming from scratch, and then you may be able to like make them like by hand, um, and because it's it's like the hydration ratio is like pretty high, so by using the local rice flour, yeah, please if you can like please try making your own like gluten-free noodles from scratch.